faster than a speeding typewriter, more powerful than a printing press, able to speak over tall buildings in a single sound. Look, up on the dial!
It's a conservative!
It's a liberal! It's Supermouth! Yes, it's Supermouth, strange visitor from the past with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal talk show hosts. Supermouth, who can change the course of local politics, bend ears with his bare mouth, and who, disguised as Mike Wiley, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan radio show, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Good morning, and welcome to another adventure into talk radio, which it's no longer talk radio. We've got a lot to cover, but don't worry, there's no test, and it's not just for today. This has been the beginning of what could be a 16-week hourly program presenting to you the complete and unadulterated crimes of the unindicted. For the past 30 years, there have been crimes committed against the American people, against the American government, against all the states in the Union, except the ones that are controlled by the Democrats, and none of them have been indicted. But, hold on. We now have somebody who not only was indicted, but found to be a felon, criminal felon. Yes, and he's a Democrat. And he used to be a Democrat. Oh, yeah. Used to be a Democrat. Now he's a Republican, just like me. I used to be a Democrat. Now I'm a Republican. We're going to talk a little bit about the Donald Trump fraud. Now, the fraud not of Donald Trump, the fraud of the state of New York. And I'm probably one of the best people to talk about it because I was recently retired from 40 years of business. My last position being CFO. And I know accounting real well. And we got some stuff to discuss. So, well, one second. I just need to make sure I got all my stuff here. I've been going through stuff, getting it all ready. Okay, yeah, we have it. All right. So we're going to open this up first. And, you know, when I first started this show back in November, I want to say, no, I think it was October of 2022 is when we started this. And pardon me, but I have Schlepp's disease in my eyes. Yeah, it's been about a year and a half now. Year and a half. And we've gone through quite a bit. When we first started the show, it was called the America's Court of Public Opinion. And the reason why it was called America's Court of Public Opinion is because Americans can't get into a courtroom and have the right that the Constitution provides for us. Matter of fact, hold on one second, because I printed something out and I forgot to get it before we started. So I'm just going to do some singing, get the paper music for you, so you don't think that I've left you. I would never leave you, no. Okay, here it is. So I don't know if you understand or recognize, but we in this country have a thing called the Constitution. And it was created by guys with guns. after getting the British the hell out of our country and saying, hey, we're going to be free, and this is the way it's going to be. We're going to be a constitutional republic, except in the blue states when the United States splits between American and Manchu dynasty China. Okay? This is what I was going to begin talking about. We're going to get to it. But I have to cover this phony fake trial first. When I do research, when I try to find out the crimes and everything about it, the first thing I do is I say, okay, Mike, what is the intent? What is the intent of the action being performed? What was the intent of this lawsuit, the E. Jean Carroll fake rape lawsuit, the Letitia James crime for paying back a loan on time? They're all, of course, are in New York. They're all created and managed by the terrorist in charge of the New York area, and we'll get to her in a moment. So, I have the amendments here, but I want to start with this. So, who could be behind this? Let's see. This is first degree falsifying business records, New York Penal Law 175.10 and 175.05. And as you go through this, and we're going to, there's an interesting little phrase here, and it says, while incarceration is mandatory for predicate felons, that means someone who's committed a felony before, if you do not have a felony in the previous 10 years, a judge can nevertheless lock you up. Okay? Who's behind all this shit? Who is behind all this shit? Can you guess who it is? It's probably a New York resident. Probably someone who's been videotaped and written about in her handling and being involved in these lawsuits. Most of it being secret because we're not supposed to know that this bitch is behind all this. But we know. But what we don't know is why. Why would Hillary Rodham Clinton be behind all of this? What's her motive? What is her intent? Have you noticed that since the beginning of the year, once poo-poo pants began poo-poo panting and falling down and everything, all of a sudden she's everywhere. She's involved in this. She's involved in that. And once again, we have to listen to this lying bitch tell us how we should behave in her Manchu dynasty. Now, we're going to go over this, and what we're going to introduce to you is the Islamic Manchurian War on America. Islamic Manchurian War in America. That's what we're going through. Okay? And the Manchurians began buying up. Now, after going through some more history, I didn't realize that Jimmy Carter had already been given most favored nation status to China, but he probably had no intent of anything because he didn't really know much, and he was a nice guy and he wore jeans, and that's why I voted for him. Yeah, he's the last Democrat I ever voted for that ran for president. I am the last Democrat I've been voted for that ran for U.S. Senate. So after Jimmy Carter, we're starting on 1990. And that's what we're going to begin covering. That's the purpose of this show. It's going to be 10 to 16 weeks, and it's going to be placed in a series, so you always have that documentation and information and be able to go back and watch it every now and then when you decide you want to go out and kill people and you really don't want to kill people. You just want to hate somebody. Okay, by the way, first of all, just to show you, see this? It's a microphone! Yeah! But I don't show it to you because I don't need to let you think I'm a broadcaster because there's a microphone in the scene like everyone else does. No, you see, I have a voice because I used to do speeches and stuff like that. My voice can carry, as you can hear. And so in order to make sure it doesn't carry too far, I have to keep the non-directional mic, I believe that's what it's called. Hopefully I have it set that way, but it seems to work out pretty good based on the volumes. And it's over here, and it's pointed away from my mouth, okay? Because I don't need to have it up close. I don't need to have it hanging down so you go, oh, Mike's a broadcaster. I was a broadcaster. I was a real broadcaster. And then one day, I pissed off some specific bitch. And she happened to be living in the White House at the time, had some connections, and got me the hell off radio forever. But now with podcasting, or the business of podcasting, or the presentation of information, or whatever the hell you want to do, I don't like interviewing people. I don't like bringing people in and going, hey, okay, tell us about this. Tell us about that. Tell us about this. Thank you. That's not a show. It's not a show. I know a lot of them do it, but that's because that's what they can do. I don't think many of them can sit and talk to you the way I talk to you, or the way Rush Limbaugh used to talk to you, and the way I used to talk to you when we were on radio, because we're radio broadcasters. And so I don't really call this a podcast. I call it a televised radio show. So now that we've got that done, hold on a second. I have to drink some coffee here. All right, so I'm going to pick apart this bullshit that occurred the other day, and then we're going to go into the main subject. But I have to cover this stuff because I owe it to you to explain to you exactly what's going on so you know. Okay, so you know. All right, so first of all, there's this thing called the Constitution. And there's this thing called the Sixth Amendment. And this is what it says. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused, that would be Donald Trump, shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. It means the public should be able to see the trial by an impartial jury of the state and district where the crime shall have been committed. Well, he was not allowed to have an impartial jury of the state because of the political nature of the people who live in New York City, specifically Manhattan, you know, the wealthy elites. Remember, the Democratic Party is basically split in two. You have the wealthy elite lawyers, politicians who never go to jail, never get caught on any crime, and do whatever the hell they want. And then you have the poor people, the Teamsters, the labor, minorities, blacks, whites, whatever, like the people you saw in South Bronx, and they get run over every day from this system. Okay? And for so long, they kept supporting that system because I'm going to say this, don't get mad, they didn't know any better. They didn't know any better. They didn't know that the Democratic Party, in order to remember intent, what was the intent of the Great Depression? Now, I've already done a show on this. We've already presented to you the facts. that Ben Bernanke in 2002 came up and apologized for the Great Depression because it was created by the Federal Reserve, which was created in 1913 by the same Democrat and Republican progressives who gave us the illegal income tax, which is just total garbage. And we're going to cover that, but it's we're going to cover it based on what happens. We're waiting for a response from the IRS on my 2022 tax return, which I'm expecting to end up going to court on because I'm now in the position to fight. I'm a fighter. I have always fought for good and justice and against evil. It's just the way I am. That's how I got involved with all this stuff with the you can't see the whole thing, but the picture of the rally, gun rally in 1994 when Hillary Clinton and company were trying to steal our guns, and I came forward and stopped it with a rally. And the 65-year-old grandmother who was put on television, and they were interviewing her, and then she goes, "I'm 65 years old. I have a shotgun and an AK-47. And that's all I have to defend myself in my home, to protect myself. And they want to take my guns away from me?" And the answer to that was no. Not a Democrat or Republican living in Florida was going to remove and take away her guns. That was on a Saturday, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, February 12th. 2 days later, on Valentine's Day in Florida, there was another massacre, and 12 gun control bills were massacred and removed, never to be seen again. You're welcome. So the Sixth Amendment also says, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor. You mean Trump would be allowed to have witnesses in his favor based on the Sixth Amendment? Yet the criminal judge, the Democrat criminal judge who disallowed him having this ability, which of course then throws the whole case right out the door, wouldn't allow him to have witnesses in his favor. But he was allowed to have assistance for counsel, which he did. But no Democrat, no accounting financial wizard guru like myself was allowed to sit there and explain some shit to you. And we're going to jump to that now. Okay, I mean, I can go through, I've gone through this, I've read through the laws, okay. You're guilty of the subsection if you had an... Wait a minute, what's this word? You are guilty of the subsection if with the intent to defraud. Oh, really? You make or even cause through other means a false entry in an enterprise's business records. Okay. Before we go any further, there's two purposes for this lawsuit. Number one, we have a criminal in the White House, probably doesn't know he's a criminal, but he has been involved in corruption all his life, or most of his life when he was in government, and he's being investigated by the Congress, and they've exposed all this stuff, okay, evidently between him and his sons and their business partners, or his son and business partners and his brother, the family, the Biden crime family, have put together a flow through of cash to take money that comes from China, Kazakhstan, Romania, Russia, specifically Moscow. The former mayor's wife of Moscow gave money. Okay, in China. He gets lots of money from China. Now, that's a crime. But we have to push that crime over to Trump. Trump has to be found guilty of that crime, not Joe Biden. Okay, Joe Biden was not has never been president until 2021. But before that, he was taking all these confidential documents and keeping them and hiding them and actually putting them in places where the communist Chinese could get at them. And he also had the documentation set up so he could meet and get a payment of $8 million from this ghostwriter that's going to write his story about how 40 years of fucking America by Joe Biden. Okay? I don't know if that's going to be the title of the book. So Joe Biden's committed that crime about documentation. So now they have to charge Trump with the same thing. So they go in and violate Trump's constitutional rights. They go in and they say, "Oh, we need all this, we need all that. Here's a warrant." And the reason why Trump wasn't killed was because I think Trump knew ahead of time what was going to happen and wasn't there, so they wouldn't shoot him while he was sitting in his living room or something. Since we just had the ATF kill some guy, and that's opening up a whole can of worms with these, pardon the expression, fucking people who run the government and think they can control our lives. Okay, I just got one word for you. Second. Don't forget the second, because that bitch is coming out of the closet real soon. Matter of fact, I was supposed to have it here, my Second Amendment protection. Okay, so the intent is to find criminal activity and apply it to Trump. Now, the Manchu Marxist communist in charge of New York is Hillary Clinton. That's her district. Yes, the country's been split up by the Manchus in China, and she's got New York. And Obama's got Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Martha's Vineyard. So, the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit was fraud. But the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, the clown bitch from outer space, or no, she's the clown bitch from Planet X. I'm sorry. I made a mistake on that. Okay, she had to go ahead and pass this law that's only good for a year. It's already expired. It's no longer in existence. But it allowed E. Jean Carroll to go ahead and refile her fake bullshit lawsuit. And of course, she was awarded $83 million by lunatics. That's in the appeal process. Everything's in the appeal process. The appeals probably will never happen unless, of course, the black guy, there's this black guy. I'm laughing because I remember the hair on the Coke can. Yeah, I remember this asshole racist named Joe Biden giving this man shit. And I gave him shit because he was black. Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas, one of the greatest Supreme Court judges in the history of our country. And he's going to come out and he's going to make a statement and he's going to make all this shit go away as interference in the campaign, which is illegal, and give Trump the immunity he needs to continue running without being put in jail, without being held up by this criminal judge in New York. Hey, Mike, all the judges in New York seem to be criminal, huh? Yeah, they sure do. So, Clarence Thomas is going to get him. Okay. You got to believe in God. God's going to put him into play real quick. So, I've already been talking for 23 minutes. This show's only supposed to be an hour, so we're going to get to some of that to start it off. But I got to cover this stuff. This is what's important. This is the hot topic. Okay. So there's this law that says, yeah, you can't falsify business records, okay? And I can go through and read this stuff to you, but because of timing, I don't want to bore you. But we're going to jump right to Attorney Bragg's 34-count announcement. The people, this is April 4th, 2023. It should have been April 1st, because this is a joke. The people of the state of New York allege that Donald J. Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal crimes that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. Holy shit! Who else was in that election? I know some criminal blonde woman. Oh yeah, Hillary Clinton. Hey, I bet she's behind all this shit. What do you think? Let's see. Perkins Coie was hired in 2015 as counsel for the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton. As part of its representation of the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee, Perkins Coie, which was created in 1912, 1 year before all the shit fell into place, retained the intelligence firm Fusion GPS, intelligence firm, for opposition research services. When she wrote out the checks from her campaign committee, did she put it down as legal expense because she paid Perkins Coie for it? Or did she put it down as opposition research? And what were they researching? Those services began in April 2016 and concluded before the 2016 U.S. presidential election in early November. Oh. A notable product of the opposition research was the Steele dossier, which was found to be false. It was found to be false. It described alleged attempts by Russia to promote the presidential campaign of Donald Trump. Now, why? Because Hillary Rodham Clinton is a Manchu representative of the Communist Party. She belongs to the Democratic Party higher-ups. They're all Manchurians. They're all Manchurians. They're all getting money from China. All of them are getting money from China. I got more stuff to cover that we're going to go through here. That stuff's going here. Here. Oh, look. Let's see. Fannie Mae, that's Clinton. Where's HRC, 1995, Oklahoma City bombing. That's HRC. HRC, fake New York lawsuits. 228 Waco, that's HRC. Okay. Hillary Clinton is the designated manager of domestic terrorism. That's her job. We're going to prove it to you. So, goes on to say, during the campaign, the Clinton campaign, the DNC paid Perkins Coie $5.6 million and $3.6 million, respectively. So the DNC also paid them for phony shit. Isn't that fraud? Isn't that an intent to create fraud? But Mike, how come there was no lawsuit in New York? Yeah, it took place in New York, didn't it? Hillary's in New York. So why wasn't she arrested with the DNC and Perkins Coie? And of course, Perkins Coie is in Washington, D.C. for some reason. I have no idea why the law firm that owns the Democratic Party, controls the Democratic Party, would be in Washington, D.C. I thought maybe they'd be somewhere in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. On October 24th, 2017, Perkins Coie released Fusion GPS from its client confidentiality obligation. The Federal Election Commission conducted an investigation into misreported 2016 payments to Perkins Coie and levied a fine of over $100,000 jointly paid by the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign. The Federal Election Commission conducted an investigation into Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic Party and levied a fine of over $100,000. Why did they not fine Mr. Trump for what he supposedly did? Huh, Mr. Bragg? Why didn't they? Mr. Bragg, wasn't this a federal election in 2016? You know how we know it's a federal election? Because Hillary the Manchu Clinton was in it. But the federal government said, no comprende, senor. It's not a crime. Oh, it's not a crime. It's not a crime. Okay. All right, well, maybe we're wrong. Maybe it is a crime. We're just not looking at the law that gives you all the reasons what to do. And I don't need to read anymore because I've only done accounting for like some 40 years. And I know my shit. Okay, so Bragg the clown, very wealthy clown. I wonder where he's getting that money from. The people of the state of New York allege that Donald J. Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal crimes that hid damaging information from damaging information. Who was damaged?
Let me see. I know, Mike. I know.
By the way, just to let you know, remember, I used to be a radio guy. Okay, people weren't watching me on TV; they were listening to me on the radio, so I could do all the voices I wanted to. It was like I was with 17 people in the studio. Okay, that's how I entertain. That's what it's all about. It's entertaining and providing information and taking the samurai sword out and chopping off the heads of criminals. That's what we do here. Samurai, Mike. Okay. Hey, so this. Watashi wa gakude no hongo ni arimashita. Demamara jozo ja arimasen. That was real Japanese I just spoke. Damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. Okay, so who was damaged in the 2016 presidential election? Who was damaged? That's why we need to have the Jeopardy music now. Hillary Rodham Clinton was damaged, but she is not named here. Is it because she was named in here? Hillary Clinton was already fined by the Federal Election Commission after they did the investigation because she put together some criminal false shit. She paid for someone to create bullshit. That's why she was found guilty. According to court documents and statements made on the record in court from August 2015 to December 2017, Trump orchestrated his catch and kill scheme through a series of payments that he then concealed through months of false business entries. Your Honor, you dumb fuck! Want to come after me?
Come on.
Come to Florida. We have freedom in this state. Okay. So let's see. Trump's special counsel to reimburse AMI in cash. That's American media. That's the guy who, this is funny. Oh, they paid this guy all this money. AMI ultimately declined to accept reimbursement after consulting their counsel.
Oh, wait a minute. If they didn't take the money, how could it have been paid?
Did you ever think of that? I got paid $17 million yesterday. I went to my mailbox, opened it up, and there it wasn't. But I got paid $17 million, but I decided I'm not going to accept it. In a third instance, 12 days before the presidential general election, the special counsel wired $130,000. Now, the special counsel is a lying piece of shit Cohen. Okay. And that's not defamation because it's been proven. 12 days before the presidential general election, the special counsel wired $130,000 to an attorney for an adult film actress. Do we know that to be true? Did Donald Trump wire the money?
No, he didn't, Mike. He didn't.
The special counsel, who has since pleaded guilty and served time in prison for making the illegal campaign contribution, made the payment through a shell corporation funded through a bank. I mean, shell corporation. I've heard that word before. Where? Isn't there some lunatic, dumbass, racist pig Democrat in the White House? Can't remember his name. Can't remember what underwear he's wearing. Isn't he the one that was putting money through all these? They collected money from all these countries and then flowed through over like 100 different shell corporations. And Mike, what were those shell corporations in business for? What service did they provide? Nothing. Nothing.
Really? So then why were they paid?
Oh, I don't know. That's not going to be investigated because he's a Democrat. Democrats don't go to jail. They go to hell. So now, stay with me here. We're going to end up doing the whole, maybe I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 1 hour of this, and then we're going to start with that, but I'm going to split them up into two, so you have 1 hour shows. Okay. In the third instance, so we cover that. Okay, so in total, 11 checks were issued for a phony purpose. 9 of those checks were signed by Trump. Really? Does he have authorization to spend his own money? I don't think so. Isn't it illegal to write out a check if you're Donald Trump? Each check was processed by the Trump Organization and illegally disguised as a payment for legal services. Okay, want to talk illegal? Want to talk phony shit? Let's go. All right, stay with me here because I'm going to explain this to you. Okay. Now, if you've ever gone through Chinese water torture, you won't have any problem with this. People versus Donald Trump. 34 counts of falsifying business records, checks, invoices, and general ledger entries.
Okay.
I don't think Bragg's ever done accounting. I don't know if Donald Trump's people have ever done accounting. I sure as hell know that judge has never done accounting. So the question is, how do you come up with 34 counts? Well, let's see. There were 11 invoices, right? Isn't that what they said? 11 invoices. Okay. So let's see. It's an invoice. And who's the invoice from?
I guess it's from Cohen, the lawyer.
Okay. Did Trump make that invoice, or was it sent to him in the mail? It was probably sent to him in the mail, or it was probably emailed to his accounting department. So Trump didn't create the invoice. Why is it here as 11 counts of what? Mike Wiley was arrested today for 3 counts of opening up his mail. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I opened up the mail. I'm guilty. Yeah. I went to the box. There was the mail. I purposely opened it up, and my intent was to open up to see what the hell they were offering me. Because all I get is junk mail all the time. So Donald Trump receives 11 invoices, and that's a crime? 11 crimes? 11 crimes? bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Okay, now here's another good one. There were 12 falsified general ledger entries. So I'm looking at this going, how could you have 12 falsified general journal entries?
Well, let's say there were 11 invoices. Somebody must have made a mistake, and one of those journal entries
was an adjusting journal entry. That's why it's 12. And then, of course, those invoices were, I can't believe it. I can't believe he did this. He paid the invoices. Holy shit. I'm guilty. I paid my electric bill. Take me away. I paid a bill. So let's see. We're going to jump right back into the law. This actually is fun. I did this for 20 some odd years as a pro se litigant, and I love taking people who thought they could get away with shit, and those people were normally attorneys. Chop them up into little pieces. Remember, not every attorney is as smart as Bragg. Okay, so let's see. Where is this? By the way, I was going to go in the FBI back in 1974 when I graduated college and to get into white-collar crime. So this shit's right up my alley. You are guilty of this subsection if, with the intent to defraud, you make or even cause through other means a false entry in an enterprise's business records. Okay. So I'm trying to get this one line. What did I do with it? Hold on here. I got it right here in my hands. I know it's right here in my hands. Hold on. They're talking about tax purposes, but I don't believe the IRS has done anything about those payments. Have they? Does that mean they're actually legal payments? And you're full of shit, Mr. Bragg? Okay, the point I was going to get at. Where the hell is it here? I know I got it here. Oh, here it is. Okay. First degree, falsifying business records, example and hypothetical. You alter Excel spreadsheet records of your employer's business. The spreadsheet may include items received, services rendered, or accounts payable. Whatever information is contained on these spreadsheets, there is no dispute that the employers use these materials on a regular basis as part of their business process. Okay, excuse me, I have a question. When was the last time people used spreadsheets? Oh. When was the last time people used spreadsheets? Remember them? Or maybe you haven't done accounting, but there used to be these green pads. See, and you'd go and you'd buy a green pad. And then you'd sit and you manually put in every entry, and you had 13 columns, and one column was cash, and that was the debit or credit, and the other one was expenses or an income account, and you kept track of everything that went on in the business on the spreadsheet. They don't use that anymore. So, wait a minute here. If they don't use spreadsheets anymore, then what the fuck are they talking about? Well, let's see. Okay, so we had 11 falsified invoices. How were the invoices falsified? Did was Trump allowed to have an accountant, forensic accountant, get on the stand and take a look at the entries and explain what really was going on?
No, Mike. No, he can't have that. He has to be found guilty of doing nothing.
Okay, falsified general ledger entries. Okay, so let's see. Let's make believe it's not. Let's make believe it's 2024. No, let's make believe it's 2023 because that's when they started this bullshit. Okay, it's 2023. Have you ever heard of a thing called QuickBooks? Accounting software? Yeah, isn't it amazing? Okay, so, and you know, they had it in 215 and 217. So they had it in those years too, because I've been using QuickBooks for some 30 years. So they've had computer software for quite a while. So the invoice is created by Martians living with Kathy Hochul up in New York, in Albany. And they're grinding away these invoices, fake invoices. And they've got the name of the attorney on them. Now, I don't know about you, but, you know, gee, I've done this stuff before. And in the 40 years of doing accounting, hey, Mike, what account did you charge the bill from the attorney as?
Meals?
No, it wasn't meals. Cost of product. No, it wasn't cost of product. No, what was? I don't know. By the way, there's this thing called the chart of accounts. Chart of accounts. They left that out. Chart of accounts, establishing all the accounts to use and the names of the expenses. Okay? So an attorney sends you a bill. He may note what it was used for, what the charge was. Okay? Who creates that invoice? The attorney does. So why isn't the attorney? So what? Why are these 11 invoices a count? Right? Now it then says here 12 falsified general ledger entries. Well, in a modern day like today, you take the invoice and you'd enter the invoice in, and it automatically goes to the account you set it up with. It automatically puts it up in payables to be paid. So, to make a long story even shorter and more truthful, there's only the journal entry, or in this case, the automated entry of the invoice, and the classification of what the charge is for. The courts and all their years of accounting experience are saying, no, that's wrong. When the attorney sends you a bill, you're supposed to charge something else. But wait a minute, hold on a second. If you charge something else, are you committing a crime? If you didn't charge legal expense, is that then not a fraud? Because we know that the IRS keeps track of everything we do. They sure as hell don't know how to create a tax system. They sure don't know how to make anything make sense. And it need to all be scrapped. It really does. It really does. This is pathetic. It's criminal. The tax code is criminal. And that's why there's rich people and poor people. Okay, that's the purpose of it. So, if you don't put the charge to Cohen down as legal fees, then when the IRS is doing your tax return and they see that a check written to an attorney is going someplace else, could that be a tax issue? I'm just asking because I've only filed tax returns for some 40 years. Okay. And of course, the one tax year I don't do was the one that got screwed up. And that's one of the ones we're going to court on. I don't know if you know this, but the Democratic Party, the criminals that they are, always like to pass laws to shove shit up people's ass, as long as they're Republicans. But if they're Democrats, oh no, we can't do that shit. It's actually against the law. It violates equal protection. Oh yeah, equal protection. Yeah, I'll be saying that when I finally go to court with the IRS, if they go that far. I don't know if they want to go into a court of law because the court rules that I'm right, and that law gets yanked. I'm not the only person getting back my money, but the other 5 to 10 to 12 to 30 to 40 million Americans who the Democrats screwed, they have to pay that out. I'm sorry. I'm in classic form today because this shit's right up my alley. Okay, so now we don't really have 34 counts, and the adjusting entry can't count, so that's 33. But since the entry of the invoice is the same as the journal entry, Bragg is reporting the activity twice. This is a fraudulent issue. His legal presentation is false. It is wrong. There aren't 34 counts. I wonder if anybody in the Trump campaign, the law firm, picked this shit up. Because I know if they had a forensic accountant put him on the stand, he would have explained this shit to those dumbbells sitting in the jury pool going, it's copy-cookie. Okay, so they're saying there's 34 counts, but there's really 33 counts, but there's really only 11. Now, what 11 are they? The 11 counts, and somebody in law correct me if I'm wrong, but the 11 counts are the 11 checks. Because getting an invoice from the attorney and entering it into your books as an attorney fee is one thing. That doesn't mean that you accept the charge. You're just recording it. When you make payment of the invoice, then, and only then, is it considered a deal. Offer and acceptance. Okay, I know you attorneys know that stuff. Offer and acceptance. So really, these 33 counts, or 34 counts, really are only 11. However, there was an August 2015 meeting at Trump Tower, and they're saying that there was a catch and kill scheme influenced of $30,000 hush money to Trump Tower doorman, $130,000 to hush money to woman number 2 through Shell Company.
Woman number 2, that must be the blondie.
And then $150,000 in hush money to woman number 1. So, evidently, the 11 checks were made out for a total of $310,000. Let me see if my math's correct. 30 and 130 is 160 and 150 is 310. So if the 11 checks total $310,000, Your Honor, then I say to you that there were only 3 counts in this case, not 34. 3 counts. And this whole thing should be thrown out and re-sued. Go ahead, re-sue for the 3. Not for the 34. You're committing fraud. You're committing fraud to the American people, and you're violating my 9th Amendment rights because I have a right to free election. You motherfuckers stole that from me in 2020. I've proven that time and time again, and I ain't stopping until you fucking kill me. Sorry. But America has had enough of this shit. Okay? And if I have to be the voice of reason, and the voice of reason is not the reason why you're going to get shot. Oh, no, I don't threaten people. Except that I'm going to take them to court. Which I already have going on with the auto repair guy who got caught stiffing me. And I already sent a letter to the company that owns the facility. And I told them basically, here's the deal. Here's what happened. By the way, here's the invoice from the company that did the work 5,000 miles ago. And therefore, certain things weren't needed, but your guys replaced it anyways. Because they didn't know that it had already done the 30,000 miles. I didn't even know it had already been done. But I told them that if they didn't resolve this, my next step would be to go to the Pasco County Police and file a criminal complaint against the place. That's number 1. And then number 2, sit in my recliner. My recliner's right over there. And it attaches to my computer and my TV. And I can electronically file in court a lawsuit for deceptive business practice. Because if one place is doing deceptive business and the company doesn't care about it, that means all of them are. That's the whole country. Boom! That's a biggie. And let me just explain something to you. I need to say this. Because some of you people think I may be crazy, but I am involved in 4 class action lawsuits. The first one is versus Verizon. I didn't file it, but I do actually have an issue with Verizon for $700 that they tried to steal from me and I wouldn't pay. And they just keep sending it to different collection agencies. But evidently, I'm not the only person that they screwed. And now there's a class action lawsuit against them. Bingo. That's one. Then we've got MasterCard. That's the newest one that comes out. I'm trying to find the paperwork. I didn't get any form, but I have gotten a couple of notifications from attorneys through these ads that if I had a company that paid interest, paid bills through these credit card machine systems, that I'm entitled to stuff. And then there was one more. We had Walmart. Walmart is I'm not even filing with Walmart because it has to do with did you buy stuff in a bag and this? Evidently, what they did was the people on the floor weren't tying out to make sure that the price in the computers, where you walk through and you pay yourself, matched the prices on the tagged items. So, but that's just anyway. So 58. We have 2 minutes to go with it. I'm ending this segment, and I'm going to start up another segment. So let me just reaffirm to you my opinion. I'm not an attorney, but I play one on television. I went to 1-year law school, learned tort law, criminal law, and contract law. And, of course, I decided to do that because it was 2012, and we had a Democrat in the White House. Therefore, that meant I was unemployed, because that's what Democrats do. Anytime Democrats in the White House, they fuck all of us. No way to put it. I'm sorry. I know I've thrown the F-bomb out a little too much today. Too bad. Americans are pissed off, and it ain't going to stop until it's cleaned out. Okay? Let's see. Trump only got $53 billion in donations within 24 hours of this bullshit that they try to pull on him. Okay? Now, New York, I know, is a protected state. It's protected from the Constitution, and it's under the control of Manchu dynasty's Hillary Clinton, the Dowager of New York. I think, and I don't know what I have to do to get it going, but I believe that Clarence Thomas and the 4 other conservatives in the Supreme Court, that of course were not put on there by Democrats, are going to go ahead and say, sorry, but we can't allow this to occur, okay? And if need be, I offer my involuntary services to be put on the stand in front of the Supreme Court. Of course, they don't really do that. You have to speak. And I don't have a problem speaking. I've never had a problem speaking. Right, Alice? Yeah, it was a good time back in '94 in the campaign. Okay, so that's the first hour of this show, but it has nothing to do with this. We're going to start to this in a few minutes. I'm going to end this show now and start this thing back up. Thank you very much. I love you. Have a nice day. Go Trump. I am Trump. Okay? You screw him, you're screwing me. Ninth Amendment, baby!